In the forest called Osun, snakes lived like humans. In this forest, snakes got married just like humans. There were two giant male snakes in this forest, but they never wanted to marry their fellow snakes. They said they wanted to marry the most beautiful things in the world. In an African kingdom called Echo, there lived three young ladies called Ola, Temi, and Bisi. The three ladies were best friends. Ola and Temi were the prettiest ladies in the kingdom. No man would see them and say no to their beauty. But Bisi, their third friend, was very ugly. The beauty of Ola and Temi was always talked about by the people of the kingdom. Whenever they passed by, the attention given to them was more than that given to the king. Everywhere would be silent, and everybody would focus on them. The animals would come around to see. Every man around at that moment would leave whatever they were doing and focus their eyes on them. This made Ola and Temi not see themselves as ordinary women, but as small goddesses of the kingdom. They were so proud, they rejected all the men who proposed to them for marriage, including Femi, the son of the richest farmer in the kingdom. They would say, "No man in the kingdom has the money to maintain our lives. We want to marry men that have everything in the world, so that when we get to their houses, we will become more and more beautiful, not ugly." But Bisi, their third friend, was never like that. Because she was ugly, she never rejected any man that proposed to her. She got married to one of the farmers in the village. In the forest called Osun, where snakes lived like humans, there were two giant male snakes, but they never wanted to marry their fellow snakes. They said they wanted to marry the most beautiful things in the world. Ola and Temi still enjoyed their single life. They still insisted that no man in the kingdom could take good care of them. They always went to a faraway river in the kingdom, not to fetch water, but to play. They saw the river as the quiet place to make themselves happy. They would sing and dance. Sometimes they would enter the river, splashing water on themselves. One day, one of the giant snakes from Osun Forest came to drink water in the river. On getting to the river, the snake saw Ola and Temi from a very far distance. He could not see them so well. The snake dodged secretly and moved closer to them. Ola and Temi didn't notice anything. The snake moved closer and saw their beauty. He saw their skin shining like gold, their eyes blinking like a newborn baby's. The snake said to itself, "This is the most beautiful thing I've ever seen. They look so beautiful. If my partner sees this, I know he will like them too." The snake imagined moving closer to them, touching their skin, playing and having fun with them. But he knew if he appeared to them and did so, they would be so scared. They would run and never come back to the river again. The snake hid secretly until they were done. While the snake was hiding, he heard Ola telling Temi, "Okay, friend, we are done for today. Let's go home. We will come back tomorrow." Ola and Temi left the river and went back home. The snake went back to the forest. When the snake got back to the forest, he told his partner, the second giant snake, what his eyes had seen in the river. "I saw what my eyes have never seen today. Two beautiful humans, their bodies shining like gold, and their eyes blinking like a newborn baby," said the snake. The second giant snake was in a hurry to see what his friend had seen too. But the other snake replied and said, "I heard their discussion. They said they will come back to the river tomorrow." On the second day, Ola and Temi were already in the river playing as usual. As the two giant snakes got to the river, the second giant snake was so impressed with their beauty. The two snakes fell in love with Ola and Temi, but they didn't know what to do. The snakes didn't know much about them. They didn't even know their names. So they decided to always come around whenever they were in the river to hear their conversation. Through this, they would know more about them. They would know what they liked and what they disliked. One day, the two snakes were hiding somewhere around the river, hearing their conversation. The snakes heard them talking about the type of men they would like to marry. "I am the prettiest woman in the world, and I will marry the most beautiful, powerful, and kind man in the world," Ola said. And Temi responded to her by saying, "I will marry the strongest and richest man in the world." The two snakes heard this, but they were not happy because they didn't have the power to turn into humans. It was only the king of the snakes in the forest that could give them the power to turn into human beings. Ola and Temi left the river and went back home. And the two snakes returned to the forest to meet their king. They told their king, "We have been waiting for days like this to come, and the day has finally come. We have seen the loves of our lives, the ones whom our hearts have truly chosen. They are beautiful human beings. So, King, we want you to give us the power to be able to turn into human beings. We can't appear to them like this. They will be scared. But if we appear to them in the form of rich, wealthy, and powerful men, they will listen to us, and we will become their husbands. The king of the snakes responded with anger and said, "No, Number, I will never do that. You know the law of our kingdom. Snakes can only be turned into humans if we have an important mission in the world of humans. I can never turn snakes into humans because they want to go and marry them. No, I can never do that. There are a lot of beautiful snakes in our kingdom. Go to them and marry them." When the two giant snakes heard what the king had said, they left the palace. But they were never happy. Day after day, they kept coming to the king to beg him to give them the power to turn into humans. But the king kept saying no, until one day, the two snakes came to the king begging him for the power. "Please, we need this power, please." The king of the snakes saw the pain on their faces. He heard their cry and accepted their request. He agreed to give them the power. "But I want you to know this," the king said in a bold and fearful voice. "When you marry them and impregnate them, the babies belong to our kingdom." The two snakes accepted and agreed with the king's conditions. The king gave them the power, and they started leaving. But as they were about to leave the palace, the king reminded them and said, "Remember, you are going for some time, not forever. Don't forget you belong to our kingdom, not their kingdom. Goodbye." The second day, Ola and Temi came to the river to play as usual, but on their way going back home, they saw two beautiful men. Their faces were shining like ripe brown mangoes. They looked tall and very beautiful. The first man named himself Kofi, and the second man named himself Dio. The two men approached and said to them, "Hi, princesses. How are you doing?" But Ola and Temi never answered. The pride in them made them not care about the men's beauty. As they kept going, Ola mistakenly shook one of her legs on a very long nail. She shouted and screamed in a very loud voice, "My leg! My leg!" Blood was flowing and rushing out seriously. As Kofi and Dio heard one of the ladies shouting, they quickly moved closer to them. "What happened to your friend?" Temi replied with a gentle voice, crying bitterly. "Please help my friend. She just struck her leg on a very long nail. And there is nobody around to help us. Please help me, and let's carry her to the village." Kofi answered, "We cannot help, but we can heal." Kofi laid his hand on the wound, and the wound started healing instantly. The blood stopped. Flesh covered the wound back to its normal position. Ola never felt any pain again. She stood up with surprise on her face. Ola and Temi asked themselves silently in their minds, "Who are these men?" Kofi and Dio heard what they were silently saying in their minds, and they replied to them loudly at once and said, "We are the men you are looking for, the men that have everything in this world. Let's go to your kingdom. It seems your place is too far." Dio pointed his right hand to the bush. Immediately, 4 white horses came out right from the bush. "Climb it and let's go to your kingdom," Dio said. Ola and Temi climbed the horses with fearful minds, asking different kinds of questions in their minds. Who are these men? Hope these men are not ghosts. It was dark when they got to their village. It was already evening. Ola and Temi, the two friends, had to depart and go to their various houses. Kofi followed Temi to sleep in her house, and Dio followed Ola. That night, Ola and Temi could not sleep. When Dio saw that Ola could not sleep, he moved close to her and said, "Young princess, it's late. Why are you not sleeping?" Ola replied with a soft voice, I am scared. I don't know you." "I am also a human being like you," Dio said. "All what you saw was just a gift from God. What you saw last time was just a little of what I can do. You still have more to see that I can do and undo. I can turn animals into men and humans into animals. It's nothing but a gift from God. So don't be afraid of me. I am also a human being like you." Ola felt calm with his words, and her fear disappeared instantly. She believed him. She now felt free with him. And she asked, "What is your name?" Dio answered confidently and said, "My name is Dio." They both smiled at each other, and Dio asked, "Will you marry me?" Ola smiled and answered, Yes, I am loving you, and I am already yours. The second morning, Dio and Kofi asked everyone in the kingdom to bring their sick ones to them, both the old and young ones, and the blind ones, and also the women that hadn't given birth for years. Kofi and Dio healed them all, and this made Ola and Temi fall in love more and more with Kofi and Dio. They both got married. Their wedding went well. As the days went by, day after day and moon after moon, Kofi and Dio healed everyone in the kingdom, except someone that never got healed, the king's wife. She had never gotten pregnant since she got married into the palace. All the village herbalists had tried their best, but nothing worked, and this had made the king worried, because if he suddenly died, he had no one to take over the throne. Kofi and Dio always went to the palace to heal the king's wife, but nothing worked. After several months, Ola and Temi got pregnant, but Dio and Kofi felt unhappy because their time was already near. The time to go back to where they came from. One night, Ola slept and woke up to see a giant snake beside her. She shouted loudly. She was so scared and wanted to run, but the doors were closed. "Don't be afraid. I am your husband. I can't hurt you, but listen to me. I never wanted to leave you. I wish to stay forever. But our king gave me a little time to use in the world of humans, and the time is now. The baby inside you is not an ordinary baby, and it belongs to our kingdom. The baby is not yours, but a baby of our kingdom. On the day you give birth, I will come and carry the baby. Don't forget you are still my wife. No man should ever come close to you." The giant snake passed through the window and entered into the bush. Ola screamed so loud as she forcefully opened the door and ran to Temi's house. On getting to Temi's house, Temi was lying dead on the floor. Moreover, what happened to Ola was exactly what happened to Temi, but Temi was so scared. As she wanted to run outside, she hit her head on the wall and fell down dead. The villagers were worried and never knew what could have caused Temi's death. But as days went by, they moved on and forgot about it. Whenever they asked Ola about her husband, she would lie and say he has traveled to a faraway village to heal people. One day the king had a dream. He saw Ola giving birth to a baby with a golden crown on the baby's head. The baby grew up to become a powerful king. He ruled the kingdom so well. When the king woke up, he thought the dream was an ordinary dream and didn't take it personally. The second night, he had the same dream again. Immediately the king woke up. He started taking it personally, saying, "This is not an ordinary dream." He said to himself, "Is it that Ola is carrying the next king? I will do anything to protect this baby to make the dream come true. Of course, I don't have any child. But as long as I have someone who can rule and take good care of my people, I am very okay with that." The next day, the king called for Ola. When Ola got to the palace, the king narrated his dream to her. Ola was shocked and replied to the king saying, "This can't be possible. The baby doesn't belong here." Ola stopped talking and started crying bitterly. But the king didn't understand what she meant by saying the baby didn't belong there. From that moment, the king commanded that Ola should start living in the palace, and they should treat her like a queen, because she was carrying the next king. Ola started living in the palace as the king had commanded. But the king noticed something. He noticed that Ola had never been happy since she started living in the palace. The king thought she should be happy, as she now lived in the palace like a queen. But Ola was never happy because she knew she was in very big danger that would affect the whole kingdom. One day, Ola was sitting somewhere alone in the palace, and the king saw her crying alone. It was at this moment the king knew that there was some secret Ola was hiding. The king moved closer to her, and Ola was shocked as she saw the king beside her. She quickly cleaned up her face as if nothing had happened. And the king asked her, "Queen, what happened?" But Ola answered, "Nothing." The king sat down beside her and said, "A problem shared is a problem solved. Tell me what happened. I am the king of this kingdom, and I have the power to control everything in my kingdom." And Ola replied and said, "The problem is the baby. The baby belongs to a giant snake of the forest. My husband, the villagers know, is a snake, and he will come back and carry the baby immediately after I give birth to the baby." The king was shocked as he heard this. He stood up angrily and said with a very bold voice, "Nothing can take this baby away from this kingdom, because he is the king of the next generation. I will tell my warriors to be ready and my soldiers to be vigilant, and all the herbalists in the kingdom to wake up. The baby is going nowhere." Ola felt calm with the king's words and believed that the king would save the baby from the giant snake on that day. On the day Ola wanted to give birth, Echo Kingdom knew the day they were expecting had come. The king knew this would not just be an ordinary fight, but a war. He ordered his warriors to sharpen their swords very smooth and sharp, the soldiers to load their guns with bullets as much as possible, the herbalists to be more perfect with their spiritual incantations. Ola gave birth successfully. The baby was a boy. The whole kingdom was ready. The soldiers, the warriors, and the village herbalists were standing with confidence, expecting any suspicious move. And suddenly... If you're eager to see how this story unfolds, please subscribe and let us know in the comments below. Type continue to see episode 2. Your feedback will help shape future videos on this channel. On the day Ola wanted to give birth, Echo Kingdom knew the day they were expecting had come. The king knew this would not just be an ordinary fight, but a war. He ordered his warriors to sharpen their swords very smooth and sharp, the soldiers to load their guns with bullets as much as possible, the herbalists to be more perfect with their spiritual incantations. Ola gave birth successfully. The baby was a boy. The whole kingdom was ready. The soldiers, the warriors, and the village herbalists were standing with confidence, expecting any suspicious move. And suddenly the floor started shaking heavily. They thought the snakes were just small snakes that they could easily capture. They never thought the snakes were so giant. When the two snakes appeared, the warriors and soldiers became cowards. As everyone began to run for their lives, some of the warriors stood to confront the snakes, but they all lost their lives. The snakes killed them all. The king was in the labor room with Ola, but he became so scared the moment he heard his people shouting for help. He knew something had happened as he opened the window to see what was going on. One of the snakes saw the king. The snake ran to the king and bit him, and the king fell down, seeking help. The other snake went to the labor room and carried the baby. Ola was so scared as the snake looked at her angrily and said, "You have told them the secret and you have betrayed me, but that will not make me kill you because I love you." The two snakes went away with the baby, and the villagers rescued the king so he wouldn't die. The village doctor and the herbalists tried their best for the king to be able to recover, but after some days the king died. But before he died, he told the village elders not to elect anyone as their king. He told them that the baby the snakes took away was the only king that could rule the kingdom. "He will rule the kingdom so well with peace more than I do. Try and look for him." When the king finished talking, he died. After the king's death, the whole kingdom was angry with Ola, pointing at her and saying she had brought a great calamity to their kingdom. "If not for you, our king would not have died. If not for you, we wouldn't have lost our people. If not for you, our land would be peaceful. Let's stone her to death." The whole village concluded with anger as they carried Ola to the middle of the village to stone her. Ola was crying and blaming herself for what she had caused. As they were about to stone her, one of the elders shouted, "Stop!" from a distance. "You want to kill the mother of the next king. If the king returns, he will be angry, and he will punish you for this," the elder said. The villagers agreed with the elder and changed their decision. They replied to the elder by saying, "We will no longer kill her, but we will keep her in prison. When her son, the king, comes back, he will free his mother, and if he does not come back, she will remain in prison forever. She cannot go away freely with what she has caused." The whole village agreed to put Ola in prison. Ola was put in prison for years. Many years passed, and Echo Kingdom was peaceful with no king. The villagers were living fine, expecting that their king, the snake boy, would come back to them one day. One day things started changing in Echo Kingdom. The villagers' firstborn children started dying. The farmers all experienced low productivity in their farms. The rivers dried up with no water. All the villagers were hungry, no food to eat. The villagers didn't know what might have caused this. They thought it was because they didn't have a king on the throne. "How long will we stay without a king? We will choose a king from among ourselves. With this, our land will return to a better land." The village elders interrupted and said, "No, that is not the solution. We have to follow what the king said before he died. "This is the time to look for our king, the snake boy." But the villagers refused to listen to the elders and insisted that nothing could change their decision. "We can't go to the forest to risk our lives when we have someone we can choose to become our king." The whole village pointed at Whale and said, "Whale will be our next king." They chose Whale as their king. On that day, the whole village celebrated that they finally had a new king. But the day after the villagers chose Whale as the king, he died. The second week, they selected another king. He also died. Again, in the third week, another selected king died. No one wanted to become the king of Echo Kingdom again because the person knew he would die the next day. The elders repeated their words again and said, "Let's stop wasting our people's lives and let's follow what the king said before he died. The snake boy is the next king, and this is the time we will have to look for him." The villagers had no other option than to agree with what the elders had said. The king of the snakes in Ocean Forest became so sick and died. But before he died, he told the whole snakes in the kingdom that the snake boy was their next king. Show him and tell him everything about the kingdom. But don't ever tell him he is from the world of humans. And never tell him that snakes can be turned into humans. Because the day he knows, this is the day he will betray you. The king of the snakes died, and all the snakes in the kingdom followed exactly what their king had said. They promised not to let the snake boy know he was from the world of humans. The snake boy became the king and ruled them for years. But suddenly the snake boy started to notice something. He noticed that the snakes always got married and gave birth to children, and the children would grow up and give birth to more children. The king started wondering, why am I not having a wife and family? And also, why is my body different from my people's bodies? The snake boy always asked himself. One day the king called the whole snake kingdom and asked, "Why is your king not having a wife and children the way you do? And more also, who is my father and where is my mother? Who gave birth to me?" The whole snake kingdom was silent for some moments. They never knew what to say. Suddenly, one of the giant snakes responded and said, "I am your father. But because you were born to rule, that was what made you different from us. It is a taboo for the king to marry or give birth." The snake boy believed all this and agreed with it. But one day, as the snake boy was walking alone in the forest, he heard a sound of celebration. People were singing and drumming. The snake boy traced the sound and saw a small village. He dodged secretly and spied. He saw people celebrating. It was a wedding ceremony. He saw husband and wife holding each other's hands. And people were so happy for them. He saw little children playing all around. And the snake boy said to himself, "This is the world I belong to. They look exactly like me. And they give birth to a lot of children." This made the snake boy wonder and become so confused. What he saw had made him know that there was a secret the snake kingdom was hiding from him. So he promised never to tell any snake what his eyes had seen. Things were getting worse in Echo Kingdom. Joy and happiness had never returned to their kingdom. They always sent their warriors and soldiers to the forest to look for their king, the snake boy. But the warriors and soldiers would never return. Another day, another warrior would be sent. But they would still never return. One day, a hunter was chasing an animal in the forest. He ran and ran after the animal. But the animal escaped. The snake boy was somewhere around the forest. He was shocked when he saw the hunter, because this was the first time he was seeing someone that looked like him in the forest. As he saw that the hunter was unhappy because the animal he was chasing had escaped, he moved close to the hunter and said, "Young man, I saw your effort, but the animal still escaped. I can make you kill hundreds of them today without you stressing yourself, only if you can answer the question I want to ask you." The hunter answered, "Yes, I will answer your question. Any question you ask, I promise to answer it correctly." Then the snake boy asked, "Is it possible for a snake to give birth to a human being?" The hunter answered, "No, it's not possible for a snake to give birth to a human being. But this has once happened in a village called Echo. Snakes turned into humans and impregnated the prettiest ladies of the village. On the day the lady gave birth, the snake came to carry the baby because the baby was not just an ordinary baby. He is the next king of the kingdom. Right now, the villagers are facing hell, and the only thing that can solve their problem is when the baby returns to their kingdom. Moreover, the mother of the baby has been in prison for years because the villagers believed that she was the one that caused the problem they are facing today. When the snake boy heard the story, he was shocked. He replied to the hunter and said, "I was the baby the snake took away, and I am the king of the snakes of this forest. But I know the Snake Kingdom is not where I belong. Can you take me to Echo Kingdom to see my people?" The hunter was afraid when he heard what the snake boy said. He answered, "Yes," and they both went to Echo Kingdom. When they got to Echo Kingdom, the snake boy climbed the tallest building of the village and shouted loudly, "Echo Kingdom, be happy because your king is back." The whole kingdom heard his loud voice. They all gathered around him with happiness. They were singing and dancing because they knew the joy of their kingdom was back. But the snake boy shouted, "Don't let your happiness be too much, because the snakes are still coming back for me. But let's plan on how to capture the whole snake kingdom. Tell all your warriors to be ready, because I will make the snakes weak. They will be weak, and they won't be able to do anything. With this, your warriors will be able to kill all of them. And when all the snakes are dead, I will come back to be your king." After this, Echo Kingdom started preparing for war again. The warriors and soldiers gathered and prepared themselves. The snake boy went back to the forest. When he got back to the forest, he didn't know what to do. But he knew the snake festival would be coming soon. The snake boy saw the festival as an opportunity for him to capture all the snakes. On the snake festival day, the snake boy poisoned their food and drinks. The snakes ate and drank and became so weak. And Echo Kingdom's warriors and soldiers came in and attacked them. The warriors and soldiers killed all the snakes. And after this, the snake boy returned to Echo Kingdom to be their king. He commanded them to free his mother, Ola. And after several months, Echo Kingdom became a better land. Echo Kingdom became a great and peaceful land again. If you enjoyed this story, I'm certain you'll enjoy the next one showing on your screen right now. Please click on the thumbnail to watch the next story. I'd appreciate your support. Like this video, share it with your family and friends, and subscribe to my channel. See you in my next story. Bye.